Today I want to do what might be considered my world debut of a new illusion. It's called Aladdin's Teapot. And it also has a spiritual application. So as we go along, I want you to think in terms of how your life can be changed by the things you fill it with. You see, Aladdin's teapot is filled with just plain clear water. It reminds us of how our life starts out with Christ. That when He cleans us up, He gives us living water that is clean and pure. But we can allow the things of this world to taint that water. Now we can take this and we can stick that into our teapot. And when that comes out, we see that it's affected our water. That it's turned that clear water red. So that the water becomes like it. I want you to notice something about each one of these. When they come out of the water,
it's dry.
The same thing, we can take, well, yeah, this is sort of gold. It's more yellow than gold, but it can remind us gold, and gold is kind of like money. So you can stick that in your life. And pretty soon it takes over all of your life. And it's your life is all wrapped up in money. If that comes out. And blue, I think of blue as being things like power, royalty. You know, kings used to wear blue. Royal blue is even a color. So I think of that as power. Sometimes it's positions of prestige or power, authority that attract us. And before long, that's color our life blue. You can see blue from up here, kind of back there. It kind of looks kind of dark, but you can trust me, that's blue. Or we can keep our lives, oops, clean for Christ. And it comes out that
Wow.
pure, clean, living water.
Yes, really.
So it's important the influences that you allow into your life because they can change you. But the other thing I wanted you to remember, if you recall, I mentioned to watch how those rags came out. See, a lot of people hang out with the world and they do the worldly things and they say, I'm going to let worldly influences into my life, but I'm going to influence that world. I'm going to make them more Christian. But you notice that they got in the water and they changed the water, but the water didn't change them. And you have to be careful when you let those influences around your life, because quite often you think you're going to go in there and change them. And sometimes that's just an excuse people have. They really know they're not going to change the world. They just want to be in the world and they want an excuse. But more often, the world changes you instead of you changing the world.
Very good.
Now today, we talked about that pure living water that we began with. But you know, you wonder sometimes about how our lives get cleaned up in the first place. And we read in the scriptures, there's a lot of symbolism, but one of the things that you talk about is the fact that our sins are like scarlet. And so we have our lives and we begin to fill them up with that sin that's all scarlet. And see, the thing about our lives is that once that sin gets in there, there's really no way for us to get it back out. And you know, even if I was to drink this juice, and we might do some good works to try and balance out our bad works, you know what happens with a juice glass, right? It never quite gets all the way out of there. It still gets sticky, and you know, after a while it starts getting bugs and dirt and all kinds of crud in there. So no matter how you try and clean that up, it still ends up being sticky. Now Christ can come along and He can cover your life with Himself, and then He removes that sin entirely, and there's not even any sticky residue.
Wow. Bye.